Hi, Mom. How are you? I hope it's not too loud in here. We've got the windows open, so what's the traffic? I'll close them. And back to this piece, because this is sharing friendly. Hi, Paulo. How are you? So today I'm adding some garden produce to this painting. Painting from Garden References. So I've got some kale leaves that I'm going to add in here. And I'm going to add some lettuce, I think. I've also got some basil that I might try to squeeze in somewhere. So that's my plan. Let's get my lights a little bit. Do I have these? More like this? Yeah. All right. I think I'm gonna get started drawing. I just need to make sure that I put over on the other desk. It's got a variety of little baby kale leaves, and I'm gonna use them as reference here, I think. So, all right, I use this so I can get a clearer reference. So how was everyone's week? Oh, I've got a bigger audience than usual at this point in the stream. Hi, Lana, how are you? Garden produce. Hi, Gabor. Long time no see indeed. I've been meaning to send you a message. I owe you a tutoring session. Paula says I ate my first garden strawberry, presumably. How was your garden strawberry? We have just finished our main garden strawberry season. So we have spring-bearing strawberries and ever-bearing strawberries, mostly spring-bearing strawberries at this point. The ever-bearing ones are new. And so those plants just finished their first flush and they won't yield very much more. I've found neighbors who have wild strawberries and you're not sure they know it. Ooh, that sounds delicious. My neighbors are cutting down, they have a tree that's dying, and it's getting cut down. And I spoke to the neighbor girl. I do mean girl, not woman. Well, I mean, technically, I guess she's a woman, but she's very young. The owner's daughter. But my neighbor had a stroke. So I'm assuming she's like 20. His 20-year-old daughter is taking care of the house and making all the decisions now, which has got to be difficult for her. But I had a nice chat with her yesterday about their plans for the garden, and she's planning on putting in a whole bunch of native species and some edible plants. And so she asked if we wanted, if we had opinions on what fruit trees she wants to put in, or what plants. We had a nice talk about native plants and good producing plants. It was really nice. I'm really looking forward to it. It sounds like she's got like a really cool plan for what to do with that. I'm pretty excited. Hi, Nettie. All right, Gabler, we can sort out when you're available. I still owe you a tutoring session, so. Tian says, love this composition. Thank you. I can't totally take credit for it because the main idea, like I'm choosing the exact plants, but the main idea is actually it's the Canada Food Guide. So a lot of it is drawn directly from that. I just switched out some of the plants for things that I like better. Haven't even touched the sketchbook for weeks now, but maybe the week after next. Okay, well, let's tentatively schedule that. Week after next, I believe my sister will be visiting me. So we'll have to schedule around her work schedule. Since we'll have my nephew here. And we need to make sure that she's available to take her baby back. She's not like in a meeting or something. Also feeling better that you. I'm also glad that you're feeling better to stream. Blah blah blah. Yeah, I am feeling a lot better. And have a lot more energy recently, and it's been great. Really, really happy with that as well. I do really enjoy these streams. It's kind of a, they help me get out of my own way in some ways because sometimes when I'm just working on my own, I get some pressure about what I should be working on or how I should do it, and it gets in my way about actually getting the work that I want to work on done. So it's nice, the streams help. Deanne says, love rosemary and co brushes. Yes, they are my favorite. They're really nice. The price is right. They have like really great options. Definitely highly recommend them. They're also like a small family business, so it's really nice to be able to support that rather than some big multinational. But quality-wise, they're also just really wonderful brushes. Okay, so then I'm also going to do this thing, but with a little bit more on it. A little bit of purple. I don't really like that mix. Okay, let's try that again. Let's get a little bit more purple. And some, I don't really have a great green for this, do I? I'm unimpressed. Bought new brushes a couple months ago. Bought 2 sets of the Da Vinci Casaneo. Finally, my collection is complete. Fantastic. Mom says I'm impressed. Well, I'm glad you're impressed. I remain unimpressed with this mix. It wasn't what I was hoping it would be. So the issue is I'm working with this palette, which is, I decided that this painting I was going to do with just my Roman Schmal Aquarius paints. And so this is a specific brand of watercolor. I don't usually make palettes that are just one brand. Like usually when I'm setting up a palette, I will just choose based on the colors, but I had so many of these paints because I bought a few, but also I was sent a bunch of these paints to review by the manufacturer. And they're really lovely paints, so I thought, you know what, since I have so many, I will just sorry. Since I have so many, I will just make a palette out of just these and sometimes just paint with just these paints. But the problem is that some of the mixes that I'm used to, because I don't have the specific pigments, like the specific paints, because I was just like, I didn't buy any extra paints to make this palette. I just chose from the ones that I had. I don't have a very, very transparent cool green, so to mix these bluish greens, I don't really know. Like I'm mixing a lot of different things in a way that I'm not really used to. So it's not coming out as clean as I would like. It's possible to mix the same colors, like the same, you know. It's a different process, and so I guess I've gotten myself into a bit of a rut, a little bit of a habit about how I mix things, and then when that's not an option. So last week, I predicted that this would take me 100 hours, and I was trying to be very conservative about my prediction, give myself more time than I really expected it would take. But that was probably like double what it's actually going to take, just looking at how much is actually done and what's left to do. It's not actually. About 50 hours on this piece, which is still a lot for a piece this size, but unimpressed but still using it. You know, you could just clean the palette and start a fresh mix. PY150 plus ultramarine, that's quite a transparent mix. No, so the issue is that I want it to be this sort of like grayish, just like this grayed down green. And if you look at what's going on in this leaf, you can actually see it quite clearly in this leaf, where you've got this like bright green, and then where it mixes with the purple, because this is like a purple kale, it turns into a more bluish, like a steely blue. And so the way that I usually approach mixes like that is I'll start with something like a phthalo green, which I don't have in this palette. I only have mixed greens in this palette, and some kind of violet, and I'll mix them to get to that point, maybe with a little bit of yellow. The issue is here I don't have the phthalo green, and I have fairly limited, like a fairly limited and weird selection of blues too. And I've been using a mixed green for the other bits of the leaf, so to keep continuity I want to keep using, like, base my other surrounding mixes on that mix. Otherwise it's easy to get the color shade temperature wrong, and then it just looks off. So yeah, so yes, that's unimpressed but still using it. Exactly. Come on. Need it just a little less intense. There we go. This is why I find the advice of you only need 3 colors somewhat dishonest. Well, I mean, you only need 3 colors, I guess, but then you'll always be mixing, like, that will be your base mix. And so your colors will always tend towards looking like that constrained, like that gamut, right? So yeah. You don't even need 3 colors. You could paint with 1 color or 2 colors. Paint with whatever you want. No, but yeah. am now stepping on a piece of lettuce. Great. Okay. And things are taking forever to dry because it is very humid. I actually also don't have ultramarine in this palette. So the ultramarine mix is part of the issue. I have cobalt, which is close, like a dark cobalt, but I don't actually have an ultramarine in here. What are the blues I have in this palette? I have cobalt deep blue, ocean blue. This one might just be phthalo blue green shade. I think it's just phthalo blue green shade. Or sorry, not ocean blue. Yep, ocean blue? Ocean blue. It's the one that's, it's PB15 plus PBR24. So it's like sand in the ocean. This is PB15-3, which is the phthalo cyan blue. And this is cobalt sea blue, I believe is what they call it. But it's like a cobalt turquoise, cobalt teal. And that's about it for my blues, I think. Oh, I also have Prussian in here. Yeah, I also have Prussian. And Misty Morning, which is more of a purple, I think, but hola, Lauren. What is that gray? Which gray? This? 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 What are we talking about? Gray. Qual cinza? Bottom left. This is titanium buff. Or buff titanium? I don't remember what they call it. I have it labeled on the side of the tin, or on the side of the pan. But as you can tell, I don't really keep track. Once I put things into a palette, I just use it. So. Which is part of why, you know, for all that I nerd out about pigments, don't really feel like it's necessary to know this stuff in order to paint. And so I always have mixed feelings because I will list, oh yes, I use these pigments and I did this and blah, blah, blah. And people will always ask, and I always feel like, yeah, but you know, that's not important. Like, I will happily nerd out about this with you because it's cool and fun and, you know, trying different colors. Oh, look, another pretty color. But you do know it doesn't matter. told you I could not get vaccinated for weeks, then I do 3 days later. Solid. Yeah, Dad told me. Well, you told me, but Dad helped you, right? That's good. Good stuff. It is a piece of baby. Well, actually, this one is it's purple peacock broccoli kale. It's one of the baby leaves, and I'm just drawing it. I got a bunch of different kinds of kale leaves from my garden, and I'm drawing in some little baby kales in the just filling in this area basically. Let's try to get some these. Okay, I am going to move this one off. This needs to dry, and it's going to take forever to dry because this is really thick paper and it's really hot and humid before I put any more details in. So I'm just going to move away from that for a moment. And I think I can manage without physically stepping away. Sometimes I actually have to step away, like literally step away to get any of this stuff done. But yeah, so I think then I'm gonna try to figure out how to place the next one, because I'm putting them under the other stuff, if that makes sense. Are these grown from your place? Yeah, they're from my garden. Yeah, so in here I'm going to put another couple raspberries and then some lettuce, and then down in here I'm going to do tomatoes and basil, I think. I think that's my plan. Paulo's maybe seen a couple of pictures, but Paulo lives in Portugal. So he hasn't been to visit or anything. You might be thinking of someone else. We do have a couple of local people who drop in sometimes. Stephen, maybe? On the other side of the ocean. He has really good vision. I can see Canada from here. Is it hot there? Are you asking me or are you asking Paulo? It's not particularly hot right here. We've had lots of rain. It was really hot like last week. He's from another planet. Okay, I'm going to, all right. So then I'm gonna take in here. So I extended these little bits of this is going to be red cabbage a little bit further than I really ought to have. So they extend well into the area that's supposed to be the middle of this painting. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do about it. I think that I can probably lift them out, but I'm trying to be patient and not just rush into that right away. So that's how I got into this mess to begin with. Has anyone here watched James Gurney's latest video? It's like oddly comforting. And kind of cute. His wife's in it. And he's freaking out because he's screwed up his. Like, he tried to put house paint in his sketchbook as a underpainting and it didn't work out great. And then he wants to put a wash over his. I mean, I'm sure it's staged, but he wants to put a wash over his background. And he's like, I'm just going to put a wash over this. But every time he's been painting on it, I feel like the gouache just completely melts off. And you've got his wife telling him, like, that's not going to work. It's just going to melt everywhere. It's pretty adorable. Sure, let's try this one. Close. All right. Take it. So I want to really play out the diversity of shades and textures and what have you of these vegetables, but still have them tied together somewhat. It's an interesting balance to try to strike. Because I could just, use the same mixes over and over, but then everything would look a little too samey for what I'm trying to achieve, I think. But on the other hand, mixing everything fresh, I also don't want it to all look too different. Highly, Connect says, highly, I recently found your info on Rosa watercolors and would like to thank you so much for the info you have shared on that subject. Thank you. Connect says, I've also started to watch your vids on how you built your palette, so well explained and useful. Thanks again. Your artwork is amazing. Also Canadian living outside Montreal. That's awesome. Hey, yeah. Yeah, you're getting hail. What paints are you using? What pants am I using? I am not wearing Roman Schmal pants, but I am using Roman Schmal paints. Joy? Did I miss Joy? Joy! Sorry about that loud car. What paper am I using? Oh, I am using, this is Fabriano Soft Press. So usually I work on hot press, 100% cotton. I'm not super fussy on brand. I am a lot less fussy about paper than a lot of people. And I mean, I do, like, I want 100% cotton, but I know that a lot of people have really, really strong ideas about the exact finish and the sizing and what have you, and I can notice differences between brands, but to be honest, as long as it's cotton paper, I'm pretty happy. I usually use hot press, but I wanted to play a little bit more with texture, so even though I tend to prefer very smooth paper, I decided to stretch myself and use, this is a soft press, which is like supposed to be halfway between a hot press and a cold press. It's also 300 pound or 640 GSM, so it's a bit thicker. It's like a cardstock. The paper looks smooth finish, almost like Bristol. It is not smooth finish. If you take a closer look at it, it is. It has pronounced texture on it. The paper I usually use, hot press, does have a much smoother finish. Joe says, I just sent you a photo of Moxie, Lana. Ooh, how's Moxie? Triana says, major hailstorm here. Oh, okay. We had a big hailstorm a few days ago. So now all of my eggplant leaves have what looks like bullet holes in them. We're kind of surprised that the neighbor's tree didn't come crashing into our house. But it did not, thank goodness. And it'll get properly cut down before the next storm. We had tornado warnings in New Jersey yesterday. 2 of them were or an internal room. Is this a commission or a special project piece you are painting? It is a special project. So I a local nutritionist reached out to me. She's actually in my husband's extended family, but she's a local nutritionist. And originally asked about purchasing some artwork, which she might do in the future, although not necessarily this piece. But she's a nutritionist, food scientist, and she suggested to me, I think that your work would be really well suited to doing a version of the Canada Food Guide. And now people suggest projects to me all the time, and usually I nod politely and don't do them because, well, time. Things take time, and I wish I could do everything, but I can't. But in this case, it really solved a problem that I was looking for, that I was looking to solve, which is I want to do more editorial illustration. I've really enjoyed the editorial illustration job I've had. And so I want to send out postcards to art directors for magazines and stuff. And so I wanted a sort of narrative illustration, an illustration that tells a story or that communicates an idea. And the Canada Food Guide does that really, really well. Like it's just a really neat design idea. And I wanted to change up some of the fruits and vegetables and stuff in it to better represent some of my favorite produce that grows in Canada. And so it's colorful, it's really full, it'll look really great on a postcard. It's unique, but it's something where like it's kind of like an infographic sort of narrative illustration without needing any explanation, without needing any extra words around it. Like you look at it and you see what you're seeing. Which is really difficult to do. Something that looks good, that's this will look good on a postcard, but that also, makes it clear that I can communicate like an idea, shows that I can communicate an idea in my artwork and not just like make a pretty picture. So, yeah. I decided to run with that. So I don't know if I have a customer for this. I don't know if I have a buyer for the original, maybe. But either way, I'm just doing this for myself. I think any room that has glass is an external room. A bathroom would be an internal room. If it was in the middle of the house with no windows. Gotcha. Yeah, cool. So I went over the line a little, which is fine, but I'm gonna need to clean this stuff up. Well, I mean, it's like, again, I can't take credit for everything here because it's very similar to the published Canada Food Guide. Like, I've changed some of the individual plants, but in terms of layout, part of what makes it recognizable is the fact that it is, in fact, published. You know, where half, like, here's an image where half of the plate is fruits and vegetables. So like I'm painting different fruits and vegetables. I'm not copying the exact photograph that's published by the government, but the general composition isn't mine. But I'm hoping that if I put enough of my own mark on it to make it clear that, you know, I know what I'm doing. New York Times Book of Vegetable Gardening by Joan Lee Faust. Wait, for everyone curious, Lee has had a post about her big, awesome palette. Oh, sorry, my main studio palette. This guy. I'd pull over the actual studio palette, you know, big and ceramic. But this one, yes, I do. I did just recently, finally post that. I put that together, that palette, about a year ago at this point, and only recently got around to making a blog post about it. And then while I was making a blog post about it, I found that the company that I got the ceramic palette from, Meaden, they're like they honestly, they sell like knockoffs. They're not even knockoffs. I'm pretty sure they're made in the same factories as some of the top supply brands. And so they sell like much cheaper versions on Amazon. And they have come out with one of the color wheel ones that has 32 wells, and I couldn't resist, partially because I had quite a bit of Amazon affiliate income, which is tied up in an American Amazon account that I don't use very much. So I bought it. And so I'm gonna have more videos about palette making. You got the circular. Is that for your hand? I have literally, it's a piece of tissue, like, just so that I can dab off excess paint from my brush or water. Usually I would have a cloth, but I don't. I put it in the laundry and then didn't replace it. So we're using tissue today. Yes, I did a circular palette. Joy says Lee's on Patreon as well. Awesome. Thank you, all my wonderful advocates over here. I appreciate you all. Okay, and then we're gonna put one of these other don't forget Discord. Yep. I'm all over the internet. But yes, I did. I got the crazy circular palette. It's not here yet. Maybe I'll do an unboxing for one of my streams. And then I think I will use some of my Jackson's affiliate income, which I have a huge amount of as well, which I could just, that one I could just turn into real cash. And generally that's what I try to do, is try to actually spend my money on, make actual, you know what? Sorry, I need to think about these leaves for a moment. Do I want to, oh, maybe I want to put another one facing this way underneath that? Oh, that would be nice. Yeah, and then that could be, just come up. That is alarming and obnoxious. Do you live at a racing lane? No. No, I don't. I live on a residential street. A one-way residential street. And it almost sounded like that was going the wrong way on my one-way residential street. So the line, which one continue? work on the Patreon like and sketch I did during the first live stream. I just got lost in your blogs. That was a fun little trip. Eee. These blogs just totally absorb attention. Do you What's the colors of kale? That's why it was so fast. Ah. City living. This area can't gentrify fast enough. I'm kidding, of course. But there are days I just had quite enough of. Yeah, okay, so I think I'm actually going to put another one coming up here and then just sort of fill in here rather than having something cutting across. I think I figured that out. One winter dad planted up decorative kale with cyclamen. Pink and purple. Ooh. Getting on the square. Yeah. Yes. I don't want it to extend quite that far, so let's just do here, maybe? And then we're gonna do this and this. Okay, and then that one's gonna have to be a lot darker. So we'll take that and we'll take a little bit of this one. And yeah. So as you can tell, I didn't really plan this painting very far ahead. Like I knew the basic idea of what I wanted to do, but in terms of layout, I just kind of, I'm throwing the plants on as I go. Which has some advantages and some disadvantages. It does allow me to paint these kales, for example, directly from reference in a way that I wouldn't be able to if I'd planned the exact layout beforehand. And adjust as I go. So like it looks a lot fresher and livelier than it would if I had it all planned out and then tried to replicate, you know, shapes that I'd drawn before and figure out where the shadows are after the kale is long gone. But on the other hand, there are some serious downsides to working this way, where there's a lot of like figuring out and adjusting and last minute and like, oh, well, I put some marks where they don't belong. It's a less clean process than a lot of botanical artists take. Shows in my work. Method seems to work for you, so don't change it. Well, I don't know that I could, even if I tried. I don't have the patience to, like, I can get sucked into painting, but it's like once I've figured out the layout, you know, then I've solved the problem. So then maintaining my interest in rendering is difficult. So the only way to get a finished painting out of me is to have me figure it out as I go along. I think. Okay, I'm gonna go grab a quick snack. I'll be right back. Just feeling a little woozy. It's nice joining the stream. I'm calling it a day. It's been a long week. All right, bye-bye. Have a nice weekend. I will... yeah, I just need to grab a snack. Feeling a little... Enjoy your snack. Thanks for letting me join in. Gotta go water the garden. All right. I hope to see you again soon. Loving the kale leaves. I've been enjoying eating kale leaves. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out because this is supposed to be in halves, and I went over my edge. How I'm gonna adjust for that? I'll be right back. To keep myself. Hello. How goes? What's new? Uh, I want to know what's in the garden now. In my garden? What do you think is in the garden that's being watered? Oh, in Canucks. Canucks? I think it just might be Canuck, like Canuck, like Canuckistan. You from Australia? New Zealand, yes. There are lots of veggies. Do they grow there? In New Zealand? Feijoa. Yeah, that would be pretty messy right now. I am going to have some yogurt, and I have this little bowl where I put some granola and nuts. And my door is swinging freely, so I'm just going to block it. I imagine that outside of Montreal, they can grow. They're in the same zone as me and have a very slightly delayed season. So, like Ev, who sometimes comes in here and watches these, has her own stream on Saturdays. Is in Montreal. We often have very similar weather. Hers tends to be a little bit colder in the spring. Yeah. So they're only like a few days behind. So I don't know what Canuck is growing in their garden, but I assume that they can grow all the same things as I can grow. And so I can tell you what's in my garden right now. I just harvested my first, we just finished up our main season strawberries. I have some currants and gooseberries coming into season. I have a whole lot of leafy greens, so kale and collards and Swiss chard, spinach already bolted, and my spring lettuces are bolting, but I have summer lettuces that I just put in. Basil's getting ready to harvest. I've been harvesting sprouting broccoli for a while. I was late putting in carrots, but if I'd started some early carrots really early in the season, I could have carrots. I started my peppers really early, so I've already harvested peppers. I started my zucchini a tiny bit late, so it is not quite cropping yet, but it's flowering. Otherwise I could have zucchini already. Eggplant is about to start. Okra will be a little while. Green beans I started late, so they're gonna be a little while. I started peas really early, so I've been harvesting peas for like a month. What else? Rhubarb. We've got cucumbers that should be cropping soon. And what else? Squashes that like they won't they won't be ready to harvest for a while. We already harvested beets. Do you eat zucchini flowers? I have eaten zucchini flowers. I'm not particularly good about harvesting my own zucchini flowers, like the male flowers, myself, from my garden. Maybe I'll try this year. They're good. I just, yeah. I haven't been great about it. To be honest, last year I really didn't get much zucchini at all, because the squash bugs got to it. Vine borer. The vine borers got to it. The previous year I got like this big bunch of zucchini, and then the vine borers got to it. This year I started a very quick cropping variety, and it seems to be doing all right, so we'll see. Don't tell anyone, but I coffee my garlic in the microwave. I'm impressed by resourcefulness. How much of your veggies come from your garden? Well, we have a very short season. Sorry, not very short, but shorter than probably most of the world. It's long by Canada standards. But there's very little. We don't have any, we haven't done like a whole lot of season extension in terms of putting in like greenhouses or low tunnels or hoop houses or anything. So we don't have a huge amount of a season extension available, which means that there's very little that we can harvest from about November through April at least. March, but like early April. And even then, like our last frost date in spring is the middle of May, and our first frost in the fall is in October. So there's a very long stretch where we can only have freeze-hardy things in the garden at all, and then within that there's a stretch where like the ground is frozen solid and we have snow on top of it, where we can't really harvest very much other than some large collards sometimes. So during the winter we end up buying a lot of produce, but during summer we have a fairly small property, so we do still buy some of our fruits. I didn't grow corn this year, so we will be buying corn. But from June until September, most of our produce is from the garden, other than things that we just don't grow. Like, we really like peaches and cherries, but we don't have enough property to grow peaches and cherries. Although we are coordinating with a neighbor to have peaches and cherries. We're gonna put a dwarf, like a cherry shrub, a sweet and sour, like a Saskatchewan cherry. Corn takes a lot of space in life. I did corn last year. And I'll probably do it again next year. I didn't get the timing quite right on my corn last year, but if you do a Three Sisters method where you plant corn in blocks rather than rows, and in the middle of each block you plant your squashes and you plant your pole beans up your corn, you can get that triple crop, right? Where you get significantly more produce from the same area. So I didn't get the timing quite right because you need to time when you plant your beans to when the corn goes in. I didn't get the timing quite right last year, so I didn't have very many beans going up the corn cobs. It's apparently a little bit tricky. Hi, Amber. I tried the bean corn combo a year or two with zero success. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't zero success because I did manage to get... No, you know what? I take that back. It was zero success because I managed to get some melon vines in through the corn, but then they kind of withered and didn't produce good melons through the end of the season. So I didn't get it right last year. And then this year I decided I had so much going on in the garden that I decided I'm not going to try it. You got corn. We did get corn. We got plenty of corn. The corn was really wonderful, but we didn't get any of the other crops in with it. And so even though I had a much larger plot this year, I decided not to do the corn thing. But the thing is, once I planted out my plot, I realized that I definitely could have fit corn in there. Like at least the amount I got last year, so. Yeah. Yeah, we're still like figuring out some timing things where I didn't start garlic last year. So I don't have garlic this year. So we're buying garlic. Not because like we couldn't have. We had the space. I could have started garlic. I just didn't. But yeah, we do produce most of our summer vegetables, some to preserve, and hopefully a little bit of season extension, like this year and next year, etc. Yeah, we started the beans too late, and then I think I left the week after, so it was dry. I like went to visit my sister or something. So the beans dried out a little, and then so they weren't spreading so great, and then they got pest damage. We didn't get very many beans from that cropping. We got lots of corn, Corn was good. So I'll do that again, but just corn. Or sorry, but yeah. We have the space to just do corn. So I'll try it again. And if it's just corn, it's just corn. Love how the leafy greens. Thanks for streaming. Thank you. Thanks for joining. All right. I am going to. Yeah. Throw, I guess, one in here. Yeah. All right, back to work. How do you keep raccoons from eating all of your corn? We don't have as many raccoons as you do. That's how I keep raccoons from eating all of my corn. We don't have as many raccoons because we apparently live in a forest, even though you've heard the racetrack outside. The other morning I woke up early, and so I was like, it was just before 7, I think, and I was standing in my dining room and staring back at me, and my neighbor's tiny, like, grassy backyard was a doe, like a deer. And like, I had just gotten up and I was half convinced that I was just hallucinating. Like, what? A deer? A deer. A deer. So we have deer, we have raccoons, but not as many as Toronto. We have squirrels and chipmunks and skunks and foxes and groundhogs and voles. Doe, a deer, a female deer? Yes, indeed, a female deer. A drop of golden sun. Going to tell Lana that Moxie's tongue marks are still on the window. Moxie was licking the window? I missed this story. Hey everyone, sorry I missed. I looked earlier, didn't see a note. Oh, it's okay. I know that I've missed a bunch of weeks recently, so it's probably confusing to people who are looking for the stream. Hopefully it'll be more regular going forward. I'm gonna play Elder Scrolls with Monkey. See you later. See ya! Actually, that's my cue to check the time and realize that I've been doing this for 2 hours. And that, I think I ought to call this a breaking point. So thank you everyone for joining. This was lots of fun. And I'll chat with you all later. If you're not already on the Discord, somebody will throw a link in right now, right? Magically a Discord link will appear so that you can continue this nerding out throughout the week. Thanks, Paolo. Bye. And yeah, otherwise I will see you next week. Thanks, everyone.